On my way home from work, my cell phone rang with a buzz. The call was from Samuel Brown, a classmate who was planning to get married tomorrow. Without any hesitation, I answered the call, but then,
Hey, hello. About tomorrow, some top industry executives are coming, so no poor folks allowed.
poor folks? For a moment, I couldn't grasp what he was saying and let out a deflated response. Samuel just laughed rudely and mockingly at me.
What? You don't get it? Important people will be there, and someone lowly like you would be ashamed. So please don't come. Keep it up.
We used to hang out a lot during middle school and were always together. After graduating, we hadn't been in touch much, but I was pleased when he invited me from a chance encounter. I even bought a new suit for his big day. But realizing now that the friendship was only in my mind, I saw no need to attend after being spoken to like this. All right, that's too bad, but I understand. Little did Samuel know the meaning hidden in my words at that moment. My name is Tom Lewis, a 43-year-old middle-aged man. I work in the development department of a fairly well-known confectionery company. Confectionery is a very deep and complex field, and we constantly change flavors, including the classic ones, to reflect the seasons and the trends of the year. In our department, we strive every day, experimenting and working hard, fueled by the smiles of our customers. I've worked here for many years and hold the position of head of the development department, but in reality, I'm just a high school graduate who never went to college. The youngest of three, with an older brother and sister, I was born into an ordinary family. Our family was plunged into the depths of despair almost instantly due to my father's debts and sudden disappearance. I was at the tender age of 12, with my siblings still in their expensive teenage years. My mother worked tirelessly, literally without rest, to raise the three of us. Even as a child, I understood how hard she was struggling for us, and I chose to work right after graduation from high school so I could start supporting her as soon as possible. That's when I joined the confectionery company. You might think it's unreasonable to stick to a job with just a high school diploma, but I was determined to work here. The reason lies in my family background. Despite not being luxurious, my mother always bought cakes and sweets for our birthdays. We loved those treats, and those moments were when we could all sit together, and they brought smiles to our faces, providing rare rest for my mom. We were able to smile, and seeing my mother finally resting during those moments meant the world to us. Thanks to those sweets, even amidst our poverty, we have memories of finding happiness as a family. The interviewer was moved by my passion, and surprisingly, I was hired. At first, I was only doing odd jobs without being much involved with the confections, but I continued to work earnestly and earned my position. One day, my manager, Daniel, mentioned he wanted to discuss something during lunch.
So, a big wholesaler wants to start doing business with us. I'm for it, but I wanted to hear what you think.
The manager's talk was about exploring new business opportunities. We often make sales pitches, but occasionally, wholesalers reach out to us instead. The one who reached out to us this time was Gateau Corporation, a leading wholesale company in the confectionery, snacks, and semi-sweets industry. Seeing it as a great opportunity, we agreed to the deal and returned to work for the afternoon. Little did I know that this decision would lead to an incident in the days to follow. A few days later, I went to the company headquarters with my manager for the scheduled business negotiation. After speaking with the receptionist for a bit, a man approached us.
Thank you for coming today. Shall we move to another room?
I followed the man, feeling a vague sense of familiarity about his back. Once in the meeting room, where an assistant had prepared coffee for three and then left, the man began.
Thank you for considering our proposal for a business deal,
He said, handing over his business card. We exchanged cards, and I saw his name, Samuel Brown, Executive Vice President of Gatto Corporation. As I read the name, I let out a small gasp. At almost the same time, the man across from me, Samuel, also showed signs of surprise. The manager sitting next to me looked concernedly towards Samuel and asked, "Is something wrong?"
Excuse me. I'm sorry if I'm mistaken, but are you perhaps Tom?
It seemed that Samuel had recognized me too. "It's been a while, Samuel. Daniel, it turns out this guy was my classmate in high school."
Oh, really? That should make things easier.
The manager nodded affirmatively at my words. It was an unexpected reunion, and though we were surprised, we were here for business. We had a lot to catch up on, but we focused on our business discussion and successfully concluded the deal. We exchanged contacts on the spot and decided to go out for drinks that very evening.
Man, it's really been a while. You never show up at reunions either.
Yes, I started working right after graduating from high school, while everyone else around me went on to college. Though nobody harassed me knowing about my family situation, it's true that a distance had formed. I've never attended reunions because, honestly, I was anxious about fitting in with classmates who went through college and had their glamorous youth. Work's been crazy busy. Plus, I was worried about fitting in.
Well, you're the only one who has just a high school diploma.
Samuel was laughing, but his words felt somewhat pointed. I'm sure he didn't mean anything by it, but it still hurt a little.
But now you're a manager. Even with just a high school diploma, you got a position? That's nice.
Yeah, well, our company values performance over academic background. Although I was excited about our reunion, Samuel's comments throughout the evening made me want to leave already. As professionals, with me being a manager and Samuel an executive vice president, our conversation naturally shifted from reminiscing about the past to discussing work. Once we started talking about work, there was no discomfort, and before we knew it, it was almost the next day. "It's getting late. We should call it a night. We both have work tomorrow."
Sounds good.
With that, Samuel and I parted for the day. Since signing a formal contract with Gatto Corporation, where Samuel works, our company has been busier than ever. They've been doing a lot of sales on our behalf, and orders have increased. In fact, our confectionery is currently pushing some unique products. Of course, staples like chips and chocolate are still important for keeping our business afloat. But to grow the company, we've been working with a spirit of innovation for the past few years, both in appearance and taste, of course. We aim to create products that spark curiosity among customers, making them wonder, is such a combination even possible? Such as red bean paste and chocolate, a blend of Asian and American flavors. This unusual combination turned out to be quite delicious, and we've got a lot of repeat customers. However, it's a fact that because of its novelty, it's hard to find places willing to sell it. From the retailer's perspective, if it doesn't sell, it's a loss, so they can't just push it without cause. Customers might think, "Really?" but hesitate to try it. At Gatto Corporation's suggestion, we decided to start offering samples, something we hadn't done before. While it costs money, the fact is that people do buy after trying. With Gatto Corporation backing us, many retailers agreed to stock our confections, and thanks to the sampling, our sales doubled. I wanted to thank Samuel for initiating the business deal, so I splurged and invited him to a high-end steakhouse. Really, thank you. Our sales are on the rise because of this. We toasted with beers in hand, and I expressed my gratitude to Samuel. I thought it would be a pleasant meal, but Samuel's response was surprisingly cold.
I'm shocked too. I can't believe such terrible candy is selling like this. Everyone must have numb taste buds.
Excuse me? I asked again, thinking I had misheard.
Come on, I tried the samples too, and mixing Eastern and Western flavors. I can't imagine doing that. Who came up with that?
Indeed, taste is subjective. Creating something that everyone in the world finds delicious is an incredibly difficult task. So think that you could say that to the very people who developed it. I was the one who came up with the idea. I proposed launching something unique and designed it myself. Every quirky product we have is my creation. Then Samuel burst out laughing, clutching his stomach.
Guess a high school grad's ideas really are beyond the comprehension of a college-educated elite like me, huh?
That comment made it clear to me what had been bothering me. Even though Samuel never said anything during high school, he had been looking down on me from somewhere deep inside. I only finished high school, whereas Samuel graduated from college. Indeed, there might be a difference between the bottom rung and the elite. But is education really all that important in life? Of course, for professions like doctors or lawyers, where you need a national license, education is crucial. But starting a business or earning a position like mine doesn't require a college degree. So what if I'm a high school graduate? I've never been ashamed of myself, nor do I think being a college grad makes you better. I suddenly got heated and blurted out those words, then hesitantly waited for Samuel's response.
Hey, my bad. You did work hard, huh?
I thought he might argue back, but engrossed in his high-end steak, Samuel just kept laughing and eating. I'm grateful to him, but maybe I need to reconsider how we associate from now on. I chewed on my meat while thinking. As the alcohol flowed, our conversation drifted from work to more personal topics. We talked about what our classmates were up to, who got married, who was henpecked by their wives, and other trivial matters. Chatting about these things made me nostalgic and somehow made Samuel not seem so bad.
Oh, by the way, I'm getting married soon. Why don't you come? You can meet other classmates too.
Samuel, apparently getting married to his longtime girlfriend, excitedly shared this news with cheeks flushed from drinking. Despite my mixed feelings, the news of his marriage was genuinely delightful. I immediately agreed to attend. Months passed, and Samuel's wedding is tomorrow. Despite not being the groom, I felt strangely nervous as I finished work that day. As I trudged home, my phone rang. The caller ID showed it was Samuel. Without any hesitation, I answered the call, but then,
Hey, hello. About tomorrow, some top industry executives are coming, so no poor folks allowed.
What? Poor folks? For a moment, I couldn't comprehend what was being said to me, and I responded with a deflated voice. Samuel just laughed crudely at me.
What? You don't get it. Lots of important people will be there, and someone like you would be ashamed. So please don't come. Keep it up.
Wait, what do you mean, poor folks? I still couldn't understand what Samuel meant. Sure, we were poor in high school, but my family and I had paid off my father's debts long ago. I certainly wasn't living in poverty anymore.
Exactly that. You're still poor from paying off your dad's debts, right? It's obvious from your shabby appearance, despite being a manager.
Indeed, whenever I met Samuel, he was always decked out in brand-name clothes from head to toe. In contrast, my clothes are non-branded, but I make sure they look presentable. I'm not shabby at all. I even bought a new suit for his big day. Realizing that what I thought was a friendship was really one-sided, and given his recent remarks, I saw no need to force myself to participate. Right, that's too bad, but I understand. The meaning behind my words was something Samuel couldn't comprehend at that moment. As I headed home with a sense of relief, I hung up the phone and let out a deep sigh. I arrived home and opened the front door.
Welcome home.
My wife, Brenda, greeted me. I had married a few years ago, and now I lived in my renovated family home with my mother and wife. My brother and sister already had their own families, so I was the only one left at our family home. I couldn't leave my mom alone, and when I discussed it with Brenda, she agreed to move in with us. There doesn't seem to be any mother-in-law and daughter-in-law issues, and although we don't have children, I consider ours a happy family.
Is something wrong? You look upset.
I must have shown it on my face. I told Brenda everything about the phone call without hiding any details.
That's terrible.
Brenda seemed to ponder for a moment, then muttered something under her breath.
Leave it to me. I'll make them regret it.
With high spirits and smartphone in hand, she dashed out, presumably to her parents' house nearby, but I didn't think much of it. I myself wasn't just going to sit back and endure this, so I reached out to some people. Mom, how about we all go out for dinner tomorrow? My plans have changed. After finishing the call with those people, I suggested to my mom. Actually, tomorrow is my mom's 70th birthday, a milestone. We were supposed to celebrate a few days after Samuel's wedding, but since I was told not to come to the wedding, I decided to organize a dinner for tomorrow evening instead. Brenda returned after a while, having apparently gone to her parents' houses, and excitedly reported that she had set something up, like a child who can't keep a secret. Maybe this is what being a married couple is all about. It turned out we were both thinking along similar lines. The next morning, I had requested the day off because it was supposed to be the day of the wedding, so I slept in for the first time in a while. But my sleep was interrupted by my ringing phone. It was 10 a.m., much later than usual, and I would have liked to sleep more. The phone wouldn't stop ringing, so I picked it up. The caller ID showed it was Samuel, and I figured it was about that time. Hello, what's up? Isn't your wedding starting soon? Perhaps because I had just woken up, my voice sounded baffled to Samuel. Or maybe he was really panicking because a stream of incomprehensible insults and ranting came pouring through the phone nonstop. What? I can't hear you well. As I said that, Samuel shouted louder.
Because not a single guest from the companies has shown up. Did you do something?
Apparently, none of the top industry executives he mentioned had shown up. The wedding was less than 30 minutes away. It's understandable for him to be panicked when no one has shown up at this hour.
What are we going to do? The in-laws are furious, and this could ruin the whole ceremony.
Well, I don't know what you expect me to do. I was told not to come. What am I supposed to do? I let out a long, exaggerated sigh over the phone. That only irritated Samuel further, who continued shouting.
This is ridiculous. You must have done something. Fix this.
I hadn't actually orchestrated anything directly. Well, I just told John and Mary and my wife that I wasn't going to the wedding and why. Upon hearing this, Samuel was surprised. You're married? But that was hardly his main concern now.
That's beside the point. Why did just telling your brothers lead to all of this?
Yes, the two people I called yesterday were my brother, John, and sister, Mary. Both my brother and sister graduated from high school and found jobs, but at the ages of 30 and 28 each, they started their own business together, which has now grown so large that everyone knows about it. The company is Dolce Corporation, a major confectionery manufacturer. Both had a passion for confectionery and had worked at different confectionery companies before deciding to strike out on their own. When they went independent, they invited me, the youngest, but I declined because I wanted to stay with my company until retirement. I briefly explained this to Samuel.
Seriously? You're the brother of Dolce's president. But what about the other major companies that were supposed to attend?
That must have been Brenda's doing. Actually, I met my wife, Brenda, through an introduction by the CEO of the company I work for. When I was promoted to manager, he said, "I'd like you to meet the daughter of another company's president." I wasn't interested, but to show respect, I agreed to meet her. That company turned out to be Cake Corporation, renowned worldwide. They manufacture a wide range of sweets that are loved by people of all ages, from children to adults. We're rivals in the confectionery industry, but we don't despise each other because of that. Of course, the compatibility between executives plays a role. Sometimes we develop collaborative products, establishing fairly friendly relations. Brenda's company is one such, and the CEO of my company got along well with her father, which is why he introduced me. I was initially stiff due to her status as the president's daughter, but we hit it off because we strangely clicked well. Our relationship smoothly transitioned into dating and eventually led to marriage. Brenda accepted living with my mother without a complaint, and despite working as an executive secretary, she doesn't leave all the household responsibilities to my mom. In fact, she often takes the initiative in doing household chores, making my mom feel almost guilty for it. I couldn't be more grateful to Brenda. Her father, my father-in-law, who is also a president, likes me a lot. Since he lives nearby, we often have meals together as families. Of course, my father-in-law's company also has dealings with Gutto Corporation, where Samuel works, and I heard from Brenda that my father-in-law was also invited to the wedding. Learning how Samuel treated his son-in-law probably influenced his decision to cancel his attendance. In the confectionery industry, we often meet at events, possibly more than in other industries. It's likely that most of the companies invited were familiar faces. My brother, sister, and father-in-law probably informed their acquaintances they wouldn't attend the wedding and shared the reasons, leading to this situation. And as for Samuel's reaction upon hearing that, from the phone, I could hear the sound of him possibly sniffling.
Why didn't you tell me something so important before?
Behind his sobbing, someone shouted, "Hey, Samuel!" Probably his fiancée's father. The tension in his voice was palpable over the phone, sounding ready to explode. "Well, you made your bed. Now lie in it. It's none of my business. You handle it." Samuel still seemed to want to say something as he said, "Wait," but I ended the call without another word. After that, I didn't hear from Samuel again. That evening, my brother, sister, and father-in-law gathered to celebrate my mother's milestone birthday.
Thank you, everyone.
My mom said, starting to cry, "Mom, you need to live a long life. I'll take better care of you." My brother and sister nodded in agreement, and we all toasted. By then, Samuel's wedding was the furthest thing from our minds. After the party, Brenda and I drove my father-in-law home. During the quiet drive, my phone rang loudly. I couldn't believe it and checked the caller ID. It was Samuel. As I hesitated to answer, my father-in-law snatched the phone from my hand and pressed the answer button. Over his hello, Samuel's angry shout came through.
You jerk. You ruined the wedding. I'll never forgive you.
Samuel's voice was so loud that there was no need to put the call on speaker. My father-in-law grimaced and pulled the phone away from his ear.
"Oh, you won't forgive? What has my dear son-in-law Tom done to you?"
The word son-in-law caused an immediate, chilling silence on the other end of the line.
Son-in-law. Wait, could it be the president, Kent?
Samuel had never anticipated that I'd be with him and that he'd take the call. If I were in Samuel's shoes, I'd be sweating profusely, scrambling for excuses.
"Well, what about it? Don't take it the wrong way, but we have nothing more to talk about with you. Goodbye."
My father-in-law hung up, leaving Samuel without a chance to respond. Later, I heard from my siblings that Samuel's marriage was called off. Apparently, his fiancée was the daughter of a company specializing in confectionery ingredients. Whether she was an heiress or not, If attendees boycotted the wedding due to the groom's fault, anyone would likely call off the marriage. When I inquired about the company, it turned out my employer also had dealings with them. Samuel's behavior quickly spread across the industry, seemingly starting to affect management. Apparently, Gutto Corporation was his uncle's company, and with the uncle and his wife having no children, Samuel was promised to be the next president. However, given the situation, Gutto Corporation's president promptly fired Samuel. With the rumors spread, getting rehired in the confectionery industry would be next to impossible. One of my classmates, who was at the reception of Samuel's wedding, got in touch with me, likely having found my contact information from the list.
It's been a while. I heard about Samuel's situation. Maybe we could meet up sometime. I'll invite some other folks too.
A few days later, worried that I might have a bad experience like with Samuel, those fears proved to be unfounded. The classmates I met after a long time treated me just as before, with none looking down on me. The talk was dominated by Samuel's situation. One classmate said they saw him working at a corner store. Another spotted him at a construction site. At this age, it's likely that any new job would involve having a younger boss. Samuel was supposed to become the next president, a college graduate and an elite. His pride got in the way, making it difficult for him to settle down, and he was seen in various places struggling. Meanwhile, I'm set to become the head of the development department in the next personnel update. Despite being called just a high school graduate and bottom tier, I was able to become a manager. And there's another piece of news. Brenda is pregnant. It's considered a high-risk pregnancy because of her age, but we are thrilled about the new life.
Hey, look, she just kicked.
Watching Brenda tenderly stroke her belly, I feel deep affection for her. I want our child to do whatever they wish without concern for academic credentials. To support that, I need to earn more. For our new family member and the smiles of our customers, today, like every day, I am committed to creating new confections.